welcome back to the Drop the Mitts Hockey Podcast, Episode 4. Myself, Mike Sullivan, alongside again with Chris Davis. You can follow us both on Twitter at ChrisJDavis11 and at _ Mike Sullivan. We have a hell of an episode today. Great interview for you guys. You're going to find out who that is in a little bit. But back for another episode this week. Chris, how you been doing this past week? What's been going on with you, bud?
Been doing extravagant, buddy.
Yeah. Big word, dude. Big word.
Just flew off. Been doing good. Just got back from vacation from North Conway with the nephews and the family. So feeling good. Morale's high. What about you, man? How you been?
Honestly, same old. Just work every day and then a couple rounds of golf at the Juniper Hills, Marlboro Country Club, a couple courses around here. Been playing a little golf, working, and keeping up with hockey in this hot, rainy summer.
Tell me you've been able to break at least 100.
Oh, come on, dude. You got to give me a little more credit than that. Come on. Although I have not broken 80 yet. I have yet to break 80, but I've been so close.
That's fair. What's your handicap?
If I say it on the pod, I feel like I'm going to get called out for bullshit, but it's about 12. I'll say it's about a 12.
Not bad.
Right, yeah. Depends on what day you catch me. Some days it's an 8, some days it's a 20. But on average, 12.
Depends on how many beers you've had.
Right, dude, I swear the more beers I drink, the better I get.
Yeah, confidence skyrockets.
It does.
We like I said, we got a really special episode. We got a really awesome guest. We're gonna get into our Eastern Conference predictions, which are pretty definitely we have different opinions on where teams are at.
Yeah.
Let's get into that, man. How do you see the Eastern Conference kind of laying out? We'll start with the Atlantic Division.
With the Atlantic, so the Atlantic is interesting because you look at all these teams in the division, and honest to God, I swear on my life, there's only one team in this division that I for sure see missing the playoffs, and that's Montreal. Montreal's not making the playoffs this year. They're just not there yet. Granted, they still have good players, obviously Suzuki, guys like Caulfield. I would throw Jack Eye in that conversation. Obviously Slavkovsky, but they're the only team in this division that I can see really struggling. Look at every team in this division. Ottawa, good. Detroit, also not going to make the playoffs, but I can see them at least making it late into the season where they're competitive. But Ottawa can make a push. They got Chychrun, Shabbat, Stutzla, Kachuk, Norris. I mean, they're loaded. Korpisalo in net now. Then flip to the regular teams. Obviously Boston, obviously Tampa, obviously Toronto. But sneaky team, dude. I'm telling you, nobody's counting them in yet. Buffalo, they are loaded. Absolutely. Devin Levi in net. Owen Power on the back end. Rasmus Dahlin on the back end. You got Thompson, Skinner, Tuck, Krebs, Cousins, JJ Paterka, Jack Quinn. They're a loaded team.
Absolutely.
So it's tough, but I think I'll go 1 through 8 real quick. I'll go Toronto, Tampa, Boston, Buffalo, Florida, Ottawa, Detroit, Montreal. That's how I see the Atlantic shaking up. What about you?
So it's funny you bring up Buffalo because we were talking with Nosik, and I had kind of a wild card pick for my Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year. And, obviously the big guns, you got Bedard for Chicago, and you got Fantilli. Man, my wild card, my Calder pick is Devin Levi.
And let me tell you, I love that pick, dude. I love that pick.
The stars are aligned for him. He's on in my opinion, a loaded team, dude. That back end like you said, the boys over at Spit and Chicklets brought it up.
Yeah.
You got guys like Power at 6'6", Darlene 6'4". Like they got some big boys back there. Not to mention they just a loaded offense with you had brought up Tage Thompson, Jack Quinn, those guys. I can really, really see Devin Levi winning that Calder Trophy and them making a deep, deep playoff run. My rankings are a little bit different than yours, and I thought that you would have Buffalo higher than I would.
Interesting.
With you being such a big Buffalo fan,
Hey, they are my second favorite team. They are my second favorite team. They're like my second child. Like, because
Yeah.
everybody know you love your first child just a little bit more than your second, right? Like
Well,
maybe.
yeah, I guess.
I'm joking.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but
My rankings are a little bit different than yours. Probably going to be unpopular, like especially with the big Bruins crowd that we got, but it's just like realistically how I feel about how this season's going to play out.
yeah,
Obviously, I got Toronto, which you had. Completely agree with that. I mean, just an absolute powerhouse.
yeah.
Obviously, they bring in Bertuzzi, Domi. I think those are two players that bring a little, that bring grit in that sandpaper game to their lineup,
And that's what they've been missing too.
yeah, and obviously goaltending is still a question to that team, but um, obviously when you have players like Marner and Matthews, they're always going to be up at the top. So I completely agree with that. My second pick, Tampa.
Yep.
Like I said, they're another team, just complete powerhouse. Anytime you have Andre Vasilevsky between the pipes, um, he's always going to make them competitive. Obviously, you have Victor Hedman still back there. You still have that main core of Stamkos, Kucherov, Braden Point, and those guys. They're always going to make that team competitive. My third team, which is where we kind of differ a little bit,
Here we go.
my third team is the Buffalo Sabres, man.
Let's go.
Buffalo Sabres. I just predict Devin Levi stealing games for this team. And I just think this team is at the point where they're going to make that next step, and they're going to be really dangerous in this division.
Yeah, I agree.
I just again nothing against the Bruins, but I don't think they've done anything significant enough to put them. I know it's probably a very unpopular opinion, but if they were going to win, it was going to be last year with the lineup they had. I think Buffalo has gotten a whole lot better. I think with another season with a young core of Owen Power, Darlene taking that next step, Tage Thompson just has proven that he's a prolific scorer in this league. I really see them taking that next step and being a dangerous team. And then at number 4, I'm gonna go with Boston. That this is also assuming that Bergeron comes back.
Right. Me as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I haven't really taken Krejci into consideration. I think you and I are kind of in agreement that we're okay with him moving on if that's what he so chooses. Just based on his play, in the playoffs, I'm okay with him moving on. I think, and that's not to take away that he hasn't been super important to this organization for years and years, obviously. But I think losing a player like Bergeron and then leaving this team with Coyle and Zaka as their 1C, 2C, I think a lot would change in my rankings if Bergeron were to move on.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right now, in assuming that Bergeron is coming back, I'm putting them at 4. At 5, probably another shocker to you, I'm putting Detroit.
Really?
I am. I'm putting Detroit ahead of Florida.
Damn. And Ottawa?
I am.
Okay.
I think Detroit, again, makes that similar to Buffalo. I think they take that next step. I think Simone Edvinsson, who's defenseman they took out of Sweden, I want to say in the 2021 draft, it might have been 2020,
Mhm.
seventh overall. I think he takes that next step and he kind of solidifies that decor for them. And then obviously they bring in a player like Alex DeBrincat, who most likely will be playing with Dylan Larkin. I think those moves, like I think that puts them over the top. I think they're more of a dangerous team than Ottawa or Florida. Um, Florida obviously got hot at the right time. Bobrovsky caught steam, like got hot at the right time. I don't see that lasting. I could be dead wrong about that. I think the Iser plan kind of takes effect this year, and I think they're going to be a dangerous team throughout the year, barring any prolific injuries.
Yeah.
My next team, obviously, Florida. Um, Florida's Florida, man. Like they don't really necessarily have any huge stars. I mean, Barkov is a unreal two-way forward. Matthew Kachuk has proven that he's here to stay, and I think they're going to be a dangerous team. Um, I just don't see. I don't know. I don't see them being as good as those teams that I mentioned before, and then Ottawa, obviously. I don't know, man. It's something about Ottawa. Like, obviously, I love what they've done as far as building that team. Tim Stützle, I love that dude. He's going to be fucking nasty in this league.
Yep.
I think last year he took that next step, and proved to everyone that he was a 1C, like a legitimate one C. Obviously, Brady Kachuk is Brady. He's a Kachuk man. He's
Yeah.
sandpaper game, man, just unreal. And then on the back end, Chikrin, Shabbat, great decor. Um, and I also wanted to bring up that trade with DeBrincat. I honestly think that I've read a lot of articles that they might have lost that trade, and I don't necessarily see it that way. Um, I don't think DeBrincat wanted to be there anyways. Um, you get a player like Kubalik, who I still think, I mean, he's still young, and I still think he can put the puck in the net. I think he's still good for 20, 25 a year. And then you toss in those draft picks that they got from them. I don't think they necessarily lost that trade. Um, like I said, especially considering the fact that DeBrincat didn't want to be there.
I was just gonna say it's just their hand was kind of forced, so they had
Exactly.
to do something.
Exactly. And I think the fact that even in knowing that DeBrincat didn't want to be there, they were still able to make out with a player like Kubalik, who in my opinion, I think he still could be a 20, 25 goal scorer in this league. And then to make out with those draft picks, um, I don't necessarily see them as losing that trade. I think it was a great trade for both teams. I think both teams benefited. Um, I mean, time will tell how that deal plays out. But for now, I think both teams made out well in that. And then obviously the last but not least, Montreal. Um, you had brought up a couple players I wanted to bring up. I think Montreal is close. I don't think this year they are a playoff team, but they're close.
Yeah.
They have a lot of pieces in place. I really like what Gorton and Hughes are doing there. We know that Gorton was massive in the Rangers rebuild.
Yep.
Um, had some really successful drafts, and I really like what he's been doing with Montreal. Um, like I said, I don't think they're there yet, but in just knowing what they have on the back end, you brought up a player like Wi-Fi.
Yep.
Um, you know, don't forget they drafted Lane Hudson. They got
Right.
Gordon Harris from Northeastern, who he's a everyday defenseman. I'd say probably a second pair. They drafted David Reinbacher this year.
Yep.
Uh, man, they're going to have a prolific back, and they've got some legitimate pieces if they so decide to move them, or if they just decide to build that decor. Um, they've got a legitimate decor. Um, and like I said, they're going to be a problem in a few years. Not necessarily this year, but I think in a few years.
Well, dude, and that's your last place team in the division. And listen to these lines. This is a last place team in the Atlantic Division. Caulfield, Suzuki, Kirby, Duck. Solid first line.
Yeah,
Hoffman, Dvorak, Anderson. Good second line. Dvorak is very underrated. Um, Third line, Newhook, Evans, Brennan Gallagher. Again, good third line. Fourth line, Slavkovsky, Sean Monahan, Joel Armia. The problem where they run into, like we were mentioning, is their decor. Like they don't really have a solidified defensive unit with you know shut down guys and staying home guys. They just kind of have a mishmash of people back there. It's like Matheson, Savard. That's your number one pairing. That's not going to get it done. Harris, Gooley, second pair, not really going to get it done. Jack Eye, and then Kovacevic. Like that's where they're going to run into problems. And then their goaltending too. Jake Allen's their starter with Montembeau backing him up. In this division, that's not going to get it done. And that's but we were just referencing that's not a terrible team either.
no, and like I said, when you have guys like Gordon and Hughes, they know what they're doing. I think
Right.
they're putting themselves in position to make some big moves. Maybe this off season, it might be the next, but I still think they have a team that they can put out there that is presentable and that can compete night in and night out. I'm not saying that they're going to make the playoffs, but they're going to be a problem night in and night out. Um, those four lines you just gave me, I mean, that's you have Slavkovsky on your fourth line, like
And
that's
and Sean Monahan.
right. And like I said, they have a lot of pieces that you mentioned. One in particular that I'm really intrigued by is Alex Newhook.
Yep.
I'm
Great
really
great signing for them, I think.
they got him at a steal, very
Yep.
low price. Um, I'm really intrigued to what he's going to do with a change of scenery. Um, obviously, he was on a stacked Colorado team. I don't know if he necessarily got the opportunity to be, um, how am I trying to say it? Not the guy, but I think that he could put up 40, 50 points, I think,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
for the
I think you're like with Colorado, he wasn't able to put in an elevated role.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Completely agree.
Hmm.
That's exactly what I was trying to get at. And I think he's a great fit. And Hughes and Gordon are able to find those kind of, I'll say, misfits. Not that
Yeah.
he was a misfit in Colorado, but I don't, like you said, I don't think he was given necessarily the opportunity to have that elevated role.
Yeah,
Uh,
he was almost I don't want to use the term underappreciated, but I think that there were just so many players who are a little bit higher, in the what am I trying to say here? In like the in the lineup, on a normal team he'd be taking that role, but there were just players in front of him.
yeah,
He couldn't break through.
yeah, exactly. And honestly, I'm intrigued by what he's going to do. Like I said, I could easily see him getting 40, 50 points this year, depending on how the line combinations go.
Yeah.
Uh, and then going back, man, you had brought up that decor. It's not great right now, but it's going to be a fucking problem years to
Right.
come.
Oh yeah.
Caden Gooley, Jordan Harris, Wi-Fi, Lane Hudson, Reinbacher. That's five right there that are under 24 years old.
Yep.
Like that
Yeah.
that's going to be a problem. You know what I mean? And I think
Oh,
once they
absolutely.
once they get Price off the books, not they'll stash him away on LTIR. Um, at some point, they're going to get a goalie. I hope. Um, Gordon and Hughes are putting them in a good position. We talked about it. I obviously I don't think this year, but they're putting them in a position where they can make some moves next offseason, um, the offseason after, and they're going to be dangerous. I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Their youth movement that they have, the guys in their prospect system, the guy like you just mentioned, Reinbacher, Lane Hudson, others as well. They have that youth in their prospect pool that when their time comes, they already have a really good, forward core. It's not bad. That's not where their issue is. Like you mentioned, and we've been talking about it, it's their back end where they're really running into some problems. And the Atlantic Division is just far too skilled and far too good for them to compete this season.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, they're playing the long game, and that's okay. I mean, there's still
Honestly, it's honestly smart on their part. They know where they stand right now.
exactly, and like I said, they're not trading away their picks. They just drafted Reinbacher fifth. They're playing the long game, and this division, man, we talked about it. It's absolutely loaded, and they're putting themselves in the best position to be competitive in this
Yep.
division. So
Yep.
I'll be curious what this team looks like 2-3 years down the road.
Yeah, man. I think we should send it over to our guest. Little hint, a little Buffalo love here, some blue and gold. Chris, you want to introduce him?
Yeah, I'm so excited, man. This kid, we've been going back and forth for a couple weeks now. Um, Incredible kid, man. Just super kind, humble, incredibly talented. So yeah, we're super amped up and excited to bring you Zach Benson of the Winnipeg Ice, 13th overall pick to the Buffalo Sabres this year. We hope you guys loved the interview. It was a great one. Um, had a lot to say, man. He's a character, and yeah. Without further, you got something?
I was just gonna say, dude, like I think what you guys are gonna get from this interview is just his level of maturity for being an 18-year-old kid. He's like you said, very humble. He worked hard to get to where he's at, and we were lucky enough to have him take time out of his day to come join us for about a half an hour and just kind of discuss things. The draft, playing in the Western Hockey League, where how he got to where he is today, what it took, and it's a great conversation. Real easy, like you said, nice kid, and it's awesome. So I hope you guys enjoy it as much as we did.
Yeah. Without further ado, we bring you Zach Benson. Hope you guys enjoy. What is going on, everyone? This is episode 4 of the Drop the Mitts Hockey Podcast. We are so grateful to have the one and only Zach Benson join us, the 13th overall pick for the Buffalo Sabres. Man, so happy to have you. Honestly, man, it's so crazy. So happy to have you. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Like
Good,
I
man.
said, just got back from the rink, so you can never complain when you just get off the ice.
Yeah, there you go, buddy. Man, first question we got for you. I want to talk to you about your draft experience. Everything you went through. Obviously, being in the city of Nashville. Um, did you have a feeling that you were going to Buffalo the whole time? Like, were there other teams that you talked to? And then obviously, I want to talk to you about your fit, man. Your fucking suit game, unreal. Like, I want to talk to you about that. Take us through that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the draft process was definitely a process. Going to the combine, meeting with I don't know. I think I had about 18 teams, so it was obviously super cool to go there with a lot of buddies, and then you get to Nashville, and it was my second time being there, but this time you're downtown, you see how busy it is down there, and how cool it is. So I met with Philly there. I also met with Arizona. Danny Briere seemed really interested, and obviously Arizona was pretty interested too. So come draft day, it was, I guess, kind of I wouldn't say a surprise that I went to Buffalo, but I wasn't too sure where I was going to land. But when Buffalo picked me, I mean, I was obviously pretty stoked with knowing Peyton Krebs and Matthew Savoy. And then I guess my draft suit and the cowboy hat that kind of came about. My mom found a guy from Vancouver that makes suits, and he did a super good job. We put the draft logo in as the liner, and I was super happy with how that came out. And obviously the draft hat was kind of just they wanted to make an episode for the Western League, so I thought no better idea than to put on the cowboy hat.
Yeah, man. Honestly, like I was mentioning earlier too before we hopped on, I'm a sneaky Buffalo fan, so I was all excited when you got picked up. But talking about Buffalo, I mean, they got players like Tage Thompson, Alex Tuck, like you just mentioned, Peyton Krebs, Matthew Savoy, and then Owen Power, Rasmus Dahlin. I mean, and then Devin Levi too. They're already kind of stacked. And then to add you into into their youth movement that they have is sick for not only you but them as well. I'm just wondering, is there anything specific out of those guys who you're gonna, something you're gonna try to pick their brain about or adapt into your game?
Yeah, I mean, all those guys, especially guys that have played in the National League already, you can take so much from what they have to say and what they do on the ice. A guy like Peyton, super mature kid. He was my captain when I was 15 years old in the Western League. So, I already know him pretty well, and he's played in the National League, 2 years, year and a half now. So, learning from a guy like that again will be super huge in my development. But, you go around the room, you look at a guy like Cal Okapozo or Tage Thompson, two guys that are obviously Tage is an elite player in the league, and then Cal has been playing in the league for a long time. So, two different guys, one starting their career and one's, near the end or has played a long time. So taking, I guess, a little bit of both from each of them will be, huge too.
Yeah. So going back to the whole draft process, how strenuous was the draft, like the combine process, as well as like the draft interviews, just everything that comes with the pre-draft process? Like, how strenuous was it? What did that process look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously you dream of being in that process. It's obviously it's super stressful. Going into those meetings and doing Zoom calls. I think I did a Zoom call basically every night throughout the year, and it's obviously stressful, but you also got to take into account that you dreamed of being in that situation when you're a kid. So, you try and stay calm, cool, and collective. But at the end of the day, you're talking with guys that are probably going to be your future bosses. So it's definitely stressful. And, I went into every meeting with the mindset just to try my best and kind of just stay calm and be myself. But, I can speak for everyone. It's a cool process, and really, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, I got to ask you, buddy. What was the most bizarre question that you got throughout your draft process? We've heard stories about these insane, like just outrageous questions. I got to ask you, like, what was the weirdest, most outrageous question that you got that just kind of took you by surprise, and who asked you?
Yeah, I'd probably go with Montreal. They asked me what animal matches my personality. I didn't have a great answer. I don't know too many animals, or I couldn't think of at the time, and I honestly just told them about my personality. I forgot about all about the animal question.
If you could pick an animal, do you have one in mind now?
No, I still don't.
It's a hard question. Like I can't even imagine what would be going through my head. I'd say something fucking outrageous. Mikey, what do you got, buddy?
I mean, so obviously, Zach, you were a high draft pick. explosive player with the Winnipeg Ice. When kind of looking at youth hockey and younger players in general, what is some advice you would give them? Maybe how to train during the summer or specific things to focus on that may give you an advantage over guys your age.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cliche, but work ethic is how you get to the next level at the end of the day. When you get to the higher levels, everyone's skill set is pretty similar. I mean, it's the top 200 players in the world playing. So, your work ethic goes a long way, and every summer, I think you just gotta honestly work your ass off and go to the rink every day with a smile on your face and the mindset to get better.
Yeah, you just got to keep that positive attitude, kind of, and just realize it takes time for those younger guys. I think that's something that they got to focus on. Is that it takes time to develop. It's not all going to happen overnight. It takes work. You grind. You have to put in the work to get into the position that you found yourself in.
Yeah, exactly. You got to trust the process, and I think a lot of people mature at different ages too. I mean, I was a late bloomer myself. I was always smaller, and so you never really. You could be, a bottom player on your team the year before, and then the next year you grow 5 inches, and now you're a top player on your team. So I think for younger kids, you just got to stick with the process, and like you said, just be positive every day. Show up to the rink with a smile on your face, and with the mindset to get better.
Now, at what point did you really know that you really had a chance at this NHL thing? At what age did you kind of realize that you had a special intangible, a special skill set? Like, when did you realize that that you really had a chance of making it to the next level?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I was always a better player. I'd say it's still, you're always dreaming of making the NHL. But I would say when I was my second year Bantam, so I'd be 14 years old. I had a good year with Yale Hockey Academy. It got MVP of the league, and that's a top league in Western Canada. So then I kind of had the mindset that it was maybe a realistic goal that I could play in the NHL, and I would say that I kept working harder, but I was working pretty hard up to that stage, and I kind of just stuck with my work ethic and my mindset to get better.
Yeah. Hey, so is there anything maybe about the Buffalo Sabres organization, maybe something about their culture? I know the experience with them is limited as of right now, obviously, but is there anything that stuck out to you, just about the whole Buffalo Sabre experience, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it's surreal. But I mean, Don Granato, the head coach there, seems to be running a very good, or I guess, yeah, running a good culture. His main thing is, you got to earn it. No matter who you are or what you bring, you got to earn it every day. And if you want to play on the power play, you got to earn it. So that's one thing I took out of there. If you want to be a full-time NHLer, you have to earn it. And I think the coaching staff there does a great job.
Were there any players that sorry, Mikey.
You're good, Chris.
Were there any players that reached out to you once you got drafted, just to kind of welcome you? Like, were there any notable players that kind of shot you a text or kind of gave you that like wow moment that you were like, wow, this is happening? Like, what was your kind of wow moment coming in?
Yeah, I mean, receiving a call from Alex Tuck after the draft was pretty crazy. But I also got a text from Kalo Capozzo. I got a text from Dylan Cousins. He actually played at Yale Hockey Academy too, so that's pretty cool. And then obviously I knew Peyton before, but he also gave me a FaceTime call. So, 4 NHLers, and it's pretty surreal when you receive a phone call from an elite player in the NHL.
For sure, man. Now, like growing up, did you have a certain favorite player that you kind of followed, and just who was your favorite player growing up? Players that you tried to emulate your game after? I'm just kind of curious if there's still players to this day that you try to emulate your game after, and just players you kind of try to You know, just
Almost like model your game after Chris.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Growing up, I was actually a big Oilers fan. So, I mean, when I was younger, I kind of just watched the game. I didn't really watch for players that I played like. So growing up, I was a big Nugent Hopkins, Jordan Eberle, Taylor Hall, obviously McDavid. So, you know, all those guys, you know, Oscar Clefbaum, Ladislav Smeed.
Legend, dude. That's a
the,
real name.
the,
So
the whole Oilers team.
I love it. I love it.
Put down every list of an Oilers.
Yeah.
That was my favorite player growing up. So, you know, I was a pretty diehard fan, and you know, my whole family is. But you know, I guess now I kind of model my game after like Braden Point, Mitch Marner. So I watch a lot of those guys play now. I like to watch to learn, but I also like to watch to. But I guess this year I'll be watching Buffalo a little more, and you know, just try and see what systems they play. And obviously they're going to be a fun team to watch with Dahlin, Power, Thompson. You can go down the list.
Sure.
Yeah, and kind of going back to that as well, how you mentioned Braden Point and Mitch Marner. What specifics of their game do you know look to learn from the most?
Yeah, I mean, Braden Point is kind of my main guy that I like to watch. He obviously is obviously an elite player and plays a 200-foot game. Doesn't cheat the zone. PK power play. You know, every situation he's on the ice, and he's a threat every time he's on the ice. But especially in the offensive zone when he gets the puck, you know, players know when he has the puck because he's just that much of a threat. And you know, I kind of want to be that guy one day in the National League. That's you know, when you have the puck, you know, the whole team is aware that you have the puck, and you're looking to take it to the net.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So, beginning of July, you attended a development camp. What were your biggest takeaways playing with, you know, obviously a different group than you're normally accustomed playing with? What were some of your takeaways? And after camp, you know, ended, what were some of your, you know, what are some areas of your game that you want to improve for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, camp was obviously super cool. I think learning about, you know, what an everyday lifestyle looks like for an NHL player. I mean, it was pretty cool. You know, they have chefs there for you. You eat in their kitchen. You know, you do workouts. You kind of do it. You know, you're living the NHL lifestyle for a week, and you know, it's super cool. And you learn from the best skill development guys in the world. So taking away things that you learn there, like little pointers on shots, and you know, little edge work here, little edge work there. So taking that home with me and implementing into my training was obviously huge. And you know, for me, the biggest thing I want to improve on this summer is just my strength. I think the gym's going to be my best friend, and I just want to get a little more explosive in my lower half.
Yeah, so Zach, I'm looking at your hockey reference right now. Obviously 3 years in the Western League, 20 points your first season, 63 in the second, and then a massive 98 this past season. Um, I'm just curious, what do you think led to that big jump in production for you?
Yeah, I mean, the Western League's a tough league. You know, when I was 15, I wasn't even supposed to be in the league, and then you know, kind of COVID happened,
Yeah.
allowed us 15-year-olds in the Western League, you know, a certain amount of 15-year-olds to play. So I was fortunate for that, and you know, it was obviously super tough as a 15-year-old playing against 20-year-olds. You know,
Yeah,
great
for sure.
Yeah.
rival in my bubble, and you know, you look now, he's a beast in the NHL. So. Yeah, I'd say my 15-year-old year, I was about 150 pounds soaking wet. And then, you know, obviously this past year I was, you know, playing at 170, 168 around there. So, you know, that 18 pounds goes a long way. And I think that kind of led to the boost in production.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, just that added strength helps you in so many ways. So
Exactly.
many ways.
Yeah, you know, playing with guys like Connor Geeky, Matthew Savoy, obviously, Were there any things that they like helped you with along the way, like in your draft process? Um, did they give you any advice, kind of in your own process? And how did they help you, along the way?
Yeah, Geeks and Sav helped me a ton. Add Carson Lamos to that list too. He was a first round of the year before them. Those three helped me a lot. When I had a question, I went to one of the three, and they're more than willing to share what their thoughts were and help me out. So I can't thank them enough. And then obviously our coach James Patrick. He did a lot of the scheduling, the meetings, and he helped me out with kind of things to improve on throughout the year. So I can't thank the organization of Winnipeg enough, and it was a super fun time in Winnipeg, and I guess the new chapter begins in Wenatchee now.
Yeah, man. So I've always been curious. I'm not sure if you ever had an interview with maybe some NCAA teams over here, but if you did, why choose juniors over college, and what do you think the advantages are?
Yeah, they actually made the rules so they couldn't talk to me. But the Chilliwack Chiefs were obviously I'm from Chilliwack, so the Chilliwack Chiefs, the junior A club, were really trying to kind of force my hand to go that way. And honestly, it was a last second decision. I was leaning more towards the college route, obviously being a late bloomer. So I think a day before the draft, Winnipeg called and they asked, what are your thoughts, this and that. And I made the decision that day that, I was going to go the Western League route. I just thought it was a quicker route to where I ultimately want to play, and that's in the National League. So I thought the development would be a little better, and I would say it's more of the fast track route to the NHL.
I know this is kind of a hypothetical. What are some college teams that you could have maybe seen yourself playing with? Like I said, I know this is a real hypothetical. I don't know if you follow it at all. What are some teams that maybe you see yourself, or you could have seen yourself playing with?
Yeah, I think a college that you kind of at least hear about out here is North Dakota. It's obviously a super big college, so I think if I was to go that way, North Dakota would be pretty high on my list. And but with saying that, there's so many good teams. I mean, Michigan. You go down the list. There's a ton of good teams.
Yeah, I just a quick shout out for the BU Terriers. This year they got Ryan Leonard, Will Smith, Gabe Perreault, Macklin Celebrini. I mean, Hockey East is going to be buzzing.
Don't do BC like that.
No, that's BU, dude. That's BU.
Man, we're not going to do this argument right here.
Fair. Yeah, man. But also too. So, is there anything maybe that you want to say to Sabres fans who might not know too much about your game or expectations for the season? Anything you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty, 200-foot player that, always wants to improve. So, I don't like to talk about myself too much. I kind of just let the work kind of show what I'm made of. And I mean, the main thing for me is just to do everything it takes to get to the NHL as quick as I can, and obviously be an effective player at the NHL.
Yeah, honestly, so I wanted to talk to you about the Hlinka Gretzky Cup. Obviously you guys won the gold. What was it like winning gold? As well as what was it like wearing the A on that jersey? Like how much of an honor was it? Having that letter on your chest, as well as being able to help your team get the gold.
Yeah, it was awesome. Hockey Canada always has a first class or makes it a first class event. It's surreal when you can wear your hometown logo on the crest. So every time you put that jersey on, you wear it with pride, and you try and do everything it takes to win. And we had such an amazing group. We had lots of talent, and It kind of showed in that tournament. We won most games pretty dominantly. And you make lifelong friends in a short 2 week span because you guys become such a tight group. And I can say that about both the Team Canada teams I've been on. I've made so many friends, and wearing an A is kind of just a cherry on top. I show up to the rink with a smile on my face every day. I'm loving life, always working my hardest, never taking practice off, and I kind of think that's why they named me assistant captain. And but with that being said, I was just happy to put on that Team Canada jersey.
Yeah, man. So, what are your expectations for this year? Obviously, with the team change, everything. What are your expectations for this year? What are you looking to? I know we went over it before. Like, what are you trying to improve? What are your expectations for yourself? What are your expectations for your team for this season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I want to push for an NHL job, but if I'm back in the Western League, obviously we want to have another strong year. We went to the finals last year, so we're looking to build on that and hopefully get over the edge this year and win the championship and compete in the Memorial Cup. But it starts. It's going to start early. We're going to have to really start the team chemistry. We got a new coach or new coaches for that matter. So getting used to their system and how they want to play. But I'm really looking forward to this year. I think our group can do something special, and I'm pretty excited to get started.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Chris, I don't have anything left, man. If you still got some questions, feel free to fire them off.
Yeah, no, honestly, I just wanted to, as we're primarily like a Bruins podcast, but I was so excited to fucking get you on and just have everyone get to know you, and I from what I've heard, and from meeting you now, you're just an awesome, humble kid, and we're really excited to see you get in the league, and I know you got big things coming for you, and yeah, man, thank you so much for coming on with us, and just unbelievable conversation. We really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, man, it's such a an honor to talk to you. I mean, like I said, sneaky Buffalo fan, so I'm all excited. This team, it's only getting better and better. And you're definitely a big part of that future too. And just me, the fan side of me too, is excited. So getting to talk to you and kind of pick your brain a little bit about the draft, your junior career, and everything with your expectations of the NHL, it was awesome. So we really can't thank you enough, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on today.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, of course, man.
That is Zach Benson, the 13th overall pick for the Buffalo Sabres. We cannot thank you enough, buddy. Hopefully we can have you on in the future, and can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your day to come talk to us. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, man. Thank you.
Hey, good luck this year.
Yeah, take care, guys.
That was good. Nice.
That was Zach Benson, the 13th overall pick for the Buffalo Sabres. Yeah, man, just an unbelievable conversation. Incredibly humble kid. Like I said, just it's so awesome to talk to these kids just about their experience, what they went through as far as the combine goes. I don't think people really realize what these kids go through. It's not just hearing your name called. It's training. It's
right.
It's so much that goes into this. It's just unbelievable talking to these kids and see their dreams come to fruition. Yeah, take it away, Mikey. It's just
dude. Like you said, dude, it's everything in between. It's a lot of people just tend to think these guys are just naturally good at what they do. Everything is easy that comes to them. Like, no, these kids put in work. They grind and they get to where they are because they're dedicated and they do all the little things right. And to be able to bring him on and pick his brain about, his training, his juniors, the decision of going to college or playing juniors, it's nice to see the thought process behind it and how he got to where he is. It was an awesome conversation. I mean, he's a great kid.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. Like I said, we had been talking for a couple weeks now. Just incredibly humble kid. Just really excited to kind of tell his story. I had to know about his friggin' fit, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolute legend. Just he just as soon as he got drafted, man, just seemed like an absolute character. Just happy to be there. Just an unbelievably happy kid. And that's exactly what he was like. Just super happy to be on, and he was open about everything. And like I said, just incredibly humble, and just we were so blessed to have him on.
Yeah, man. I mean, even like I mentioned, I think a couple times, like sneaky Buffalo fan. I'm so excited that the team picked him.
And we're gonna go back to this about BU.
I was wrong. I was wrong about that.
A little because you're a sneaky Buffalo fan. You got a little stargaze.
I did. Nah, dude. I was reading this article, and I was just because obviously I was trying to like maintain, on the pod, but also read this to see if I was right. And I read it quick, and I kind of just like skimmed it, and it was talking about the BC BU rivalry being better because of those guys. That's what it was. And I'm an idiot. Hand up. That's on me.
And Zach kind of looked at you. He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know. He's like, no, he's wrong. Yeah. Hand up. That's on me.
And like I said, we were so happy to have 13th overall pick, Zach Benson. Incredible kid. We can't thank you enough, man. This concludes episode 4 of Drop the Mitts. Mike, you have anything for the listeners?
I mean, we're kind of in the dog days right now, right? I mean,
sure.
Arbitration hearings obviously are still happening with the Bruins, Swayman, Frederick. They're still RFAs at this moment, so that's still TBD. But we're only a couple months now away from the start of the regular season. So preseason's going to start up pretty soon. Quicker, it'll be here before you know it. Hockey season will be here. We'll be back here live talking relevant, game scores and division standings and races to the playoffs. And this show in the season is going to be electric. It's going to be electric.
Yeah, and even with these dog days, like you said, we've got some unbelievable guests scheduled for you guys. So we're just super amped up for you guys, and just really excited to talk to some more high profile players and kind of get their takes, their routines in the off season, their expectations for this upcoming season. And like I said, some really high profile players, might be just super amped up.
Yeah, man.
And just to go back, I want to thank Zach Benson again, taking time out of his day to talk to us. Unbelievable kid, just super humble, and we wish him the best of luck this year. We wish him the best of luck throughout his career. And honestly, just we're really excited to follow him. Know he's going to have a bright career in Buffalo. City of Buffalo is really lucky to have a kid like him.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I mean, like you can even just tell from the conversation, he's 18 years old, but he's very mature. He knows the spot that he's in and the opportunity that he has, and I have no doubt in my mind he's going to be a successful player in the NHL. Just from attitude alone, you can tell it's not like him putting in the work is a grind to him. Like he likes doing it. It's the reason why he is where he is today. And the reason why he has so much success. So just through the conversation, he's not going to stop. He's going to work so hard to get, on the Buffalo Sabres team full time. He's no doubt in my mind, he's got a bright career in front of him.
Yeah, absolutely. The city of Buffalo has a bright, definitely got a good one, man.
Hell yeah.
And as soon as I saw that pick, I go, I can't think of a better fit for this kid. Yeah, just incredibly humble kid. And again, I want to thank him for coming on, taking time out of his day to come talk to us. So that concludes episode 4 of Drop the Mitts Hockey Podcast. I'm Chris Davis. I'm with my host, Mike Sullivan. Thank you guys for tuning in, and take care. We'll see you next time.
See you guys next week.